Hi, everybody, it's Josh. I'm here with another. Boy, there's a lot of complicated reviews lately. I don't know if this means that my opinions are just complicated and I'm a complicated man, or if it's a weird time for movies, but it is January, February. It's March in a few days, maybe by the time you see this. Anyway, I saw a new movie that I was relatively excited to see, and I do have thoughts about it. It is called Drive Away Dolls. I don't believe that's the original and intended title of the movie, as you'll see if you go watch it at the very end. The title actually changes into what I think they wanted to call it, but I won't spoil that. Go check it out and see which title you prefer. I think I know why they changed it, but it might also be a shame that they had to. What is Drive Away Dolls? It is a very strange, short little indie comedy made by a legendary director who is working without his longtime partner. Of course, I'm talking about Ethan Coen of the Coen brothers. Directed this with his spouse, Tricia Cooke, who has been a writer, editor, producer, I think, on various Coen projects in the past. They've been married since the 90s. And they have both written this movie, and Ethan, who is the Ginger Coen. Is that okay to say? I've had the Coens switched in my mind, by the way. I thought that was Joel, and I thought he directed the Denzel Macbeth, and I guess it was the other way around. And I feel like these two movies that the Coen brothers have made apart are very telling. Maybe I'll talk about that more later. Let's talk about this movie. So, Drive Away Dolls is in one sense, it's a very Coen brothers type of a movie. It is a crime story, it's a noir, but it's a comedy noir. It's a really goofy noir. It's full of characters who are kind of hapless, who stumble into a web of crime. It has heavies and criminals and bad guys and cowards and people getting hurt really badly in strange interstitials that don't make sense until the end of the movie, and all those kind of things that are kind of trademarks of the Coens. And yet there's something about it that feels unhinged and maybe a little, I don't want to say amateurish, because it's shot very well, and it's just really, it's a fascinating case. I think critics are basically just panning it and saying that it doesn't work and it's bad. I don't want to jump to that conclusion because I had a lot of fun watching it. So before I get into what's going on in the movie and what I think about it, let's just talk about the cast a little bit. The two main characters are lesbian friends, and I wouldn't normally characterize someone with that kind of a descriptor, but that's kind of important to the movie, I guess, is that this takes place in 1999 in the world of out lesbians, but they are not a couple, at least not at the beginning of the movie. Maybe they have an arc, maybe they don't. These are characters played by Margaret Qualley and Geraldine Viswanathan, I think is how you pronounce her name. They're both, I think, very fun in this movie. And they play a pair of friends who decide to get away from East Coast urban life and go down south to Tallahassee, Florida. They for different reasons, they both decide to go together on this trip. And they end up taking a drive away, which means someone with a kind of shady business has a car that needs to get somewhere, so you get to make a one-way trip with a car and just drop it off somewhere, no questions asked, and you're at your destination. You don't have to return it, whatever. They end up taking a car which has been designated as a kind of a mule vehicle to get some illicit goods down to Tallahassee, Florida. Bill Camp plays the Curly, the guy, the drive-away car manager, who gives them this car. He mistakes them for the people who are supposed to pick it up. Coleman Domingo and a couple of thugs from gangstery fellows come in, and we don't know what's going on. All we know is that there's something in that car that they want, and these young girls have taken it off to Tallahassee, Florida. It's a bit of a road movie, and then when they catch up, it's a bit of a noir crime explosion at the end. Also in this movie, Pedro Pascal, I mentioned Bill Camp and Coleman Domingo. That's nothing to sneeze at. Matt Damon makes an appearance in this movie. And Beanie Feldstein is also in the movie. She's, I think, one of the most fun parts of this movie. So I'm not going to get into more detail than that about the plot. It's a really dirty movie, which is neither here nor there. It kind of broadcasts itself as that, and I think a lot of us in the audience enjoyed that. However, I have a lot of stories like this. I guess it might have to do with where I live. I don't know. I'm here in Rockland County, New York, but At the Palisades Mall, there was an older couple who, 10 minutes in, when it became very clear that this was going to be a colorful movie, they got up and huffed out. And I don't know if they literally said, "Shame on all of you," but they made some comments, and then everybody made a lot of comments back to them as they left the theater. So that was fun. So this is a very R-rated movie. I think it was really only because it's ribald and dirty, and specifically plays around within the world of out lesbians of 1999. So maybe that's a specific universe that was not familiar to certain people. I'm really torn on what to say with this movie. A week ago, I recorded a pretty effusive, positive review of Lisa Frankenstein, and then I turned around and found out that all the critics are saying that this is a giant disaster that doesn't work. And I just liked how different it was. I acknowledge the things they say that are weird about the movie, but I still had a good time watching it. And I feel kind of similarly about this. However, the difference is that Lisa Frankenstein is a first feature, not for Diablo Cody, who is a seasoned writer, but for the director, Zelda Williams. This movie is written and directed by a Coen brother. So there is a track record of excellence and success and experience there, which makes this movie baffling. And I wonder, compared against the movie that Joel made, Ethan made this movie, Drive Away Dolls, and Joel made the Macbeth with Denzel. It's probably not, one movie each is not enough to really come to any conclusions. But it is interesting that Macbeth is, visually dynamic and creative and over the top, and even for the Coen brothers, there's a lot of inventiveness in the staging and the production design of that movie. But otherwise, it's just a really good artistic interpretation of Macbeth. It's very straight ahead, but that material doesn't leave a lot of room for being wacky. So, I'd rather see Joel write his own movie and direct it I'd rather they just make a film together, which is the rumor now that they're going to do that again. So this might just be an interesting little season in their career that we're like, oh. They have also in the past written movies that they didn't direct, like Suburbicon. I think Clooney directed that, right? But that was written by the Coen brothers, and that was kind of a disaster. They don't have a perfect track record. They just have one of the best track records of making many of the greatest films of the late 20th century. And so, seeing this movie, which is just an undisciplined, comedic, chaotic mess that throws a lot of weird things at the wall. It has very off-putting transitions, comedy transitions, like someone will slam a car door and then the next shot will be jiggling, like things like that are clever and cute, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It feels like a young filmmaker trying things out. But this is, again, a seasoned. It's fascinating to me. I don't know what I'm saying. I had a good time watching. If you're at all predisposed or curious, just go see it. It's a lot of fun. It's not great, but it's interesting. And I previously alluded to these kind of interstitials, and the Coen brothers do this a lot. But and oftentimes they will just be out of left field. Like Big Lebowski has these weird cutaways, but they usually, if you think about it for 2 seconds, Saddam Hussein in a bowling alley and the Vikings and everything. Like there are things organic to the story of that movie which explain the weird fantasies and dreams that the dude apparently is having. And in this movie, there is an explanation. Everything ties together in the end, but in the strangest way that I'm not sure. But maybe that's the joke, that it doesn't. It has to do with Matt Damon, who's playing I'm not going to give too much away, but Matt Damon's playing kind of a right-wing senator, family values senator, who has some secrets. And so I shouldn't even have told you that, because it was very weird watching the movie, and it keeps cutting away to things that seem completely unrelated to our heroes, the 1999 lesbians on their road trip. Suddenly we're looking at things and it's baffling. And some people, there were additional walkouts, not just the huffy, offended people, but there were people who just got fed up. But it's an 85-minute movie. It's short. If you just like movies and you're curious about weird stuff, if you like the Coen brothers and you're curious about what's going on right now in Ethan's career, here it is, Drive Away Dolls. This is my tepid, kind of maybe not a recommendation, but why not? Again, so many of these things boil down to, you may have noticed that I'm not a critic who is like, bam, Josh's seal of approval, run to the theater. I might say that occasionally, but you also might notice that I'm hesitant to just pan something. It has to be really lousy before I'll go off on it, because it's a miracle that any movie gets made. It's also a mystery why certain movies got made in the first place. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, other than that's Drive Away Dolls. you probably know at this point whether you want to check it out or not. Maybe wait to stream it. It's a real curiosity, really fun performances from a lot of character actors, and some little jokes and surprises that I haven't even alluded to. So there it is. Thank you for listening to another one of my reviews. I will be back soon. By the way, I've noticed that my movie reviews are getting watched by people who are not subscribers and are not here from my typical kind of Mystery Science Theater riff tracks kind of fan base people. So welcome to you if you're one of the people who's watching my movie reviews. Thank you for the comments, like and share and all that stuff. And I do have a Patreon where I post these videos, my riff videos and the movie reviews and other things early, and there's some exclusive stuff there as well. So check me out at patreon.com/JoshWay. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you again soon. Josh out.